Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
UFC 287, the hunter becomes the hunted. Alex Pereira, the UFC middleweight champion, is making his first title defense against Israel Adesanya. It's an odd thing to say Israel Adesanya title contender in 2023. We've seen the fall of Kamaru Usman. We've seen the fall of Davison Figueiredo. We've seen the fall of some of these long-standing champions, even the Glover Teixeiras and such. Will Israel Adesanya be the one to actually get his belt back? Valentina Shevchenko even. What are we talking about, folks? Listen, welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. Joining me, as always, my co-host, the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber himself, AJ. Brother, we are in the midst of transition of the new taking over the old. But how are you feeling, brother? How you feeling coming into UFC 287?
Derick, I'm feeling well, man, but I do gotta agree with you. Father Time has been undefeated, and as of late, it has really showed his card that he is here to stay and the new generation is taking over. I mean, by all means, we got an 18-year-old fighting in the UFC second fight, and he's on the pay-per-view. This is a fun week, man. This has been a fun week breaking things down, man, but I'm living well, Derick. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good because fights are back, right? You'll see the shirt. I had to fulfill my stuff somehow. PFL out here in Las Vegas. I'm getting my fix there, but I'm going to be honest with you. Even though we had the Thiago Santoses, we had the Rob Wilkinsons, we had the Omari Akhmedov was supposed to fight. He didn't. We had some of these UFC cats. They all came in and they all, like you said, Father Time. They losing in the PFL, baby. So now we back to the UFC. We're focusing on the young guns. Raul Rosas Jr., you said it yourself, man. 18-year-old on the main card. AJ, how much does this have to do? And I'm not saying it's correlated, but you know, the UFC, WWE, they just merged together here. This is an entertainment game. At the end of the day, you got Chris Curtis and Kelvin Gastelum fighting on the prelims and Raul Rosas Jr. on the main card. Do you think this has anything to do with that, or this is just the name of the game?
I don't know so much about the merger of the WWE. I think this is just more the game of somebody's getting the push, and Rosas seems to be a hot button ticket right now, brother.
That's it, man. It's whoever can put butts in seats, right? That's what gets you on the big stage, and that's what we're here to talk about. Folks, quick programming note before we get into it. I do want to just share with you really quickly, we have a little bit of a branding change. This is still the Bloody Water Podcast. You know where to find us, but if you're searching for us on YouTube, you might see a little bit of a difference. So, AJ, let's pop it up real quick. Bloody Water Podcast is now fully officially branded as the Bloody Water Podcast. Previously, Free Thinkers Club YouTube channel, Bloody Water Podcast underneath it. Now, literally type in Bloody Water Podcast. It is there. It will pop up. 532 subscribers, folks. We needed to change that. Those are rookie numbers. We need to pump those numbers up. AJ, what's the number we looking to hit?
Woo, 1,000, Derick, and then after that, man, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. We're looking to hit the whole world, brother.
That's right. I couldn't agree more. And we don't even need to sit here, mince words. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know this is your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. So let's get into the TLDR. Let's get it. All right, my man. Very, very quickly, we're showing this on the screen. And the reason why is because at the end of the day, we got 4 Bloody Water Podcast consensus picks here today, AJ. So let's rattle them off. We're talking about Dorinho, Gilbert Burns. He said, I've been in Florida for 10 years. We'll see who the real king of Miami is going to be after the fight, right? We're talking about Adrian Yanez, baby Masvidal Jr. right there, right? Taking off stiff competition in Rob Font. We're talking about Kevin Trailblazer Holland, aka Big Mouth Holland, and then finally Raul Rosas Jr. Those are our consensus picks. Now, we're obviously, you tune into the show because we're going to break down why we're rolling with them. But AJ, we got some contention here. Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira. If you looked on the left column, you notice I went for Potan. Alex Pereira, man, left hook of death, right? Left hook Larry. That's something you a fan of. But you got Alex Pereira, you got Israel Adesanya. So just like in a sentence, man, what's the reason?
I could be falling for the narrative, Derick. I could be falling for the whole storyline that's being brought to us, but I think Israel Adesanya has a little chip on his shoulder, and we're going to see something different come out of this boy. He may have let it slip in the interview when he said he's going to be on his back. He's going to put Potan on his back. We'll see if that actually happens or not, man. I'm excited to break that fight down with you.
Yeah, they said Izzy brought out the wrestling shoes for this one. I'll just say this, man. Maybe I'm falling for the narrative too, but when someone's got your number, sometimes they just got your number. You know what I'm saying? This is 3 in a row. Will he make it 4? We will see. All right, folks, without any further ado, if you have not subscribed, you should be subscribed right now. What are we talking about? Bloody Water Podcast. You know what time it is. Let's jump into these fights, man. Championship fight coming up.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, AJ. So this is the championship fight right here. This is the proving ground. This might be a legitimate back against the wall moment for an Israel Adesanya, who's trying to not follow in the footsteps of a Kamaru Usman and lose his belt and then rematch just to lose again. And sometimes that's the reality of the game. Now, you have to be completely real about this situation right here. Alex Pereira, very quickly, in the span of just over a year, has become a mythical fighter in the UFC. The power, the stoicism, right? His inability to speak English even makes him just scarier. But at the end of the day, man, Israel Adesanya has been a bad man for a long time and felt very untouchable for a long time. So my question to you is, Israel Adesanya can outpoint Alex Pereira for 24 minutes and 55 seconds. But if he's not on point for those last 5 seconds, it's over. We already saw it in the last one. Why are you confident that Israel Adesanya can change course in the rematch?
I think it's going to be that one thing that he let slip in the interview, Derick, that putting Poatan on his back. But I don't think it's going to come when everybody thinks it is. You know, everybody's thinking it's going to be a first-round shoot, second-round shoot. We're going to see wrestling from the jump. I don't think so. I think he's going to lull Pereira into that same style of fight that they've had, man. When you stand across the cage from somebody and then you have to do it again, nonetheless, 4 times total, now going to be the 5th, man, you have that same kind of feeling. So you can get lulled into that normal style of battle that you two have been going back and forth at. And then out of nowhere, comes that X factor where you shoot for the legs. He's what? Oh my God, 4th round, 5th round, now I'm on my back. Now I have to worry about the stuff we've been practicing. Now I'm thinking, now I'm working. I think that factor right there is what Izzy has up his sleeve now. I mean, we caught it. I wonder if Potan's team caught it. I'm sure they're ready for that. I mean, you're practicing with Glover Teixeira. You know you're going to be ready for the takedown, for the ground game over there. So I caught a word you said earlier, confident. I don't know how confident I am, Derick. This is a bit of a gamble. And I mean, you could see Izzy is the favorite. So he does have the crowd push going for him. I'm not so confident in this fight, man. I do believe sometimes somebody's got your number. But when they do have your number, you need to pull out that X factor. I think that X factor is a takedown. Do you think he can get it in the 5th round when he's tired, when everything's going on? Or does it need to be a wrestling show from the jump?
Well, I have to hit on a couple of points. First off, this is going to be the 4th match in a row, right? This is 3-0 for Alex Pereira. But that aside, I thought the wrestling, it came out in the last fight. It's not like it wasn't there, right? Israel Adesanya never particularly went for aggressive shots. Rather, Poatan came in, tried to shoot a little bit, try to work in some of that grappling, and Adesanya was able to get a reversal, was able to get on top, but then what does Pereira do? Given the fact that, let's be honest, bro, in cage, this dude's a light heavyweight, you know what I'm saying? This is not a 185er that he's fighting against. That's what worries me when it comes to grappling exchanges. You can be the more technical guy. Sometimes the guy that has more power, who is physically a larger individual than you, will be able to sweep you, will be able to reverse position and just muscle out of it, especially sweaty, no-gi, UFC style. It's tough, right? So the X factor, in my opinion, Glover Teixeira. You don't think Alex Pereira is sitting here just training, like jiu-jitsu, training, grappling? You don't think that, like, they don't think that Israel Adesanya is like, that's the game plan? He knows at this point there's real confidence with Alex Pereira. That's what makes him even scarier for me, man. You know, if you dig deep and you push forward, you have the chin to take his shots, and he doesn't have the chin really to withstand your shots. So talk to me about that, man. I think more than physical, I think this matchup right here, the rematch in MMA, this is mental. I think this is literally all a mental chess game. So mentally, do you think that like Israel Adesanya has to be coming from a place where he's not at an advantage mentally, correct?
Yes and no. So I think this mental warfare goes a little bit of both ways, because is Pereira more in the driver's seat of how he can control the mentality of Izzy? Yeah, I agree with that. Mm-hmm. That kind of goes back and forth with the, you know, having his number and all that stuff. But where I think the mental battle that Pereira has to face right now is he's been cutting weight for 2 weeks, man. You said it yourself. He's a light heavyweight in the cage, but he's more of a heavyweight outside of the cage. I was watching, I think it was Uncle Chael talking about it. Pereira walks around 220, 222, something around there. Massive individual. And he's, like I said, he's having to cut weight for 2 weeks now. So all that training we're talking about, all that game plan and all the work with Glover, all that stuff that they are so stressed about kind of sort of takes a back seat to the first fight you have to have, which is with the scale. So I don't know how crisp, how sharp all that'll be if you're worried so much about making that first initial weight. Now we'll see later on, you know, we filmed this one before the weigh-in, so we'll see how he's looking at the weigh-ins. I'm sure he's going to be crisp. I'm sure Potan's going to be, you know, clean looking, sharp, everything. So I think it goes back and forth a little bit. Now, would I weigh a mentality battle for Pereira? Yeah, but I still think there's a little bit to go in there, And now with a lot of the stress off of Izzy, he can just perform. That does go into it. Another knock though for Izzy, and I want you to touch on this too, Derek. Is this too soon to come back after the actual knockout? Because was it a clean? Your face hits the mat, you're sleeping? No. But you were out, man. You were dizzy. You were knocked. Even your coach, Eugene Berriman, says a little bit too soon of a comeback. I mean, it seems like it to me. I don't know. What do you think, Derek?
I think, yes, too soon. And the reason why is because, you didn't get brutally knocked out the way Kamaru Usman did, and he probably returned a little bit too quick. But what do we always say, man? Because it feels like their last fight in MMA was just a couple weeks back. This was like 5 months ago, right? But realistically, in 5 months, how drastically can you change your game that you've molded over years and years and years of martial arts training? You can't really change much. You're not going to turn into a D1 wrestler in 5 months. I'm sorry. It doesn't. You got no wrestling shoes in the cage. You know what I'm saying? You might be able to like tweak a couple techniques and all that, but the reality is you're not going to ingrain that muscle memory in 5 months. So I do think that at the end of the day, we're going to see two of the greatest kickboxers the earth has ever seen go at it for 25 minutes. And the question is, does Pereira knock him out? Does Adesanya knock Pereira out? Because he has that option too. He just doesn't have the nuke, but he has that precision. Or do we see a timid, on-your-bike fight between these types of fighters, man? I know Pereira probably won't be the guy running, but Israel Adesanya, he can move and make it difficult for you to land those shots. The only question is over 25 minutes. I want, real quick, AJ, because this is important before we move on. There's two things that I think we haven't addressed yet. Pereira's calf kicks, leg kicks against Adesanya. Adesanya admitted he was damaged by the calf kicks. I think it's simply due to the size and power of Pereira, honestly, right? Mm-hmm. Calf kicks. How much is that going to play a factor in this one?
Oh, calf kicks huge, man. Especially after the fight, somebody announces, "Oh man, I was in danger. Those hurt." I'm spamming those left and right all day long. Now that does go both ways because Izzy could have said that as a trap. So we'll see. But I mean, if you ever taken a calf kick, you know how bad those hurt.
And then the next question is, if Israel Adesanya decides, I'm going to go D1 wrestler mode here on Pereira, as a lifelong kickboxer, as he is, championship, fantastic, legendary kickboxer, your cardio is not quite built for wrestling, right? And they say that could have been part of the problem in the last fight, is that he had to do a little more grappling than anticipated. And then round 4 and 5, when you need to be on your bike, didn't have the energy to do so. So when you have to be on your bike for 25 minutes, would it even be advantageous to try to wrestle? In pursuits of trying to tire out Pereira, you're probably tiring yourself out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree with him. That's why I think the takedowns are going to start coming rounds 4 and rounds 5 for the Izzy camp. If you shoot too early, you run into that problem, man. You're dumping too much gas in the beginning of the fight. I think that did come into play. So that's why I was saying, man, a 5th round shot out of Izzy will surprise people. Now, I mean, we'll see if it actually happens, though.
So I think it's easy to say this. I personally, and this is me stepping out on a limb, I think Israel Adesanya is the better fighter. I just think Alex Pereira has the nuclear option that, just like Francis Ngannou against Stipe, when I picked Stipe in the rematch and Ngannou just starched him, it's just like you can't mess up. And it's easy to mess up against these guys. So let's put the picks in, man. Clearly, Adesanya is a betting favorite for a reason. You have to respect the resume. Pereira is not nearly as tested, but against Adesanya, he's as tested as they come, man. So give me the plus 165 TKO prop. To me, it's almost crazy that it's plus 165 at this point. I find it hard to see him winning a decision at plus 170 right there. So give me that all day. How do you see it, brother?
This is a hard one, Derek. I've been waiting to see the odds. I didn't look at the odds on the props for this fight because I feel like it can either Izzy early round knockout, almost like we saw in the last fight, or he's on the bike, gets that decision. I'm going with the decision. I think it's a little more likely that we see the timid Izzy. Not timid of sorts. It's a bad word to use, but it weren't calculated. I'm going with the decision, Israel Adesanya.
All right, and there you have it, folks. This is for your middleweight championship, and Israel Adesanya is almost like the last hope of, like, can these guys get their belt back after losing it? We'll see. After this one, we're going to see Valentina, but you know what I mean. All right, man. Let's move on to a very interesting co-main event. This is for the King of Miami right here. This is honestly, man, a matchup that you don't really expect because it doesn't make the most sense, I guess is the question. Aside from star power and, like, name value, Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal is a little questionable in terms of a matchup. And the reason why is because what has Jorge Masvidal done to put himself back into this, like, title picture? Nothing, right? What do you think?
Genuine question, Derek. He's
Yeah.
from Miami, and now he has beef with the champ, Leon. So I think this is 100%. You've scratched my back so much in the past. We have a card in your hometown. Hey, there's a storyline to be made, man. If you can go out there and make it, go make it, which, I mean, that is Jorge Masvidal's kind of MO. You know,
Yeah.
we've seen him over the years have that up and down career. Now, when the lights are on him, he does perform the best. Unfortunately, it's going up against Doreen Fro and Gilbert Arenas, man. He's a bad man.
He is absolutely a bad man, but Jorge Masvidal makes some very telling points when he mentions, hey, you know this Burns guy, he's a little bit of a wild man, and he's not the greatest wrestler in the world. And all I do every day at ATT is I go against wrestlers, and I practice my takedown defense. Gilbert Burns is no Kamaru Usman, right? However, this dude has a relentlessness that was able to take a scary guy like Khamzat Chimaev and force him not to be able to shoot really over the course of 3 rounds. So I feel like that should strike fear in your heart right there. But that's the thing. Masvidal says, if I could keep this fight standing, baby, Burns is in trouble. And you have to agree with him. You have to. This is the only thing, man. And I don't want to be a hater per se right here, but Jorge Masvidal is not the spryest, youngest version of himself, man. This man's 38 years old. You know what I mean? So I'm sure he still has all of the skill, all of the sharpness that we've seen over the years. But the reality is, can you do it for 15 hard-fought minutes where Burns is in your face the entire time? That might be a good thing for Masvidal, but do you think he has that same step that even we saw in the Darren Till fight all those years ago?
I think yes, Derek. I don't think the step or the skill set has necessarily gone away. Maybe it's dulled a little bit. Maybe it needs a little bit of shine. We can see that even in the initial pictures of Jorge. A lot of people on Twitter, they're saying, "Man, what happened? This dude used to be cut. Now he's looking a little older." I mean, yeah, he is 38, but you can never put that against him because Jorge Masvidal is very, very dangerous at all times. How it's hard, Derek, because I'm a massive Jorge Masvidal fan, but I have so many pros for Gilbert going into this one because I just think he's hungrier. I think he's in there grinding more. I think he's in there consistently looking at what's going to happen. Where Jorge, he's waking up in silk sheets, and we all know the saying, man, it's hard to go get the jog in. But I don't know, because you can never count out the dude that has the fastest knockout in UFC history and is down to scrap at any point ever, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, right? Like maybe that's the thing. Maybe we need to save it for the cage. No, I'm just joking, man. You got to love you some Gamebred Masvidal, but let's take a tail of the tape, I guess you should say, right? Last win for Jorge Masvidal was a stoppage victory against Nate Diaz, right? No longer in the UFC. The win before that, Ben Askren, fastest KO, no longer in the UFC. Darren Till, knocked out, no longer in the UFC. It's not really ringing too well for you as time goes on. For Gilbert Burns, he ragdolled Neil Magny in his last fight. He did lose to Khamzat Chimaev. That was a kind of a close fight, though, right? Before that one, it's almost a similar matchup, man. He ragdolled Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But that was in that stage of fights where Thompson was just getting taken down by everybody. So it's like George Masvidal, you know that the takedown defense might be a little bit, whatever the case may be. Other than that, man, he has a win over, Tyron Woodley, a loss to Kamaru Usman. Both of these dudes are fighting cream of the crop competition. The only difference is Masvidal fought wrestlers 3 fights in a row and lost all 3 of them. Got knocked out in one of them, right? So the $1 million question here, man, can Gilbert Burns take down Jorge Masvidal? And if he does, and avoid getting his face kneed off in the process, what round does it happen?
Yes, round 2. You can't have the explosiveness of a Jorge Masvidal take you by surprise, like Ben Askren or like a lot of other, even Darren Till. The sharpness that Jorge presents is always a dangerous. So you gotta have him. You gotta take advantage of the slowing down nature that everybody has in the second round when it now becomes a chess match instead of just a dog fight. You don't want to dog fight Jorge Masvidal.
You're absolutely right. And then Masvidal is also true, man. I don't know if you looked at statistics, but Gilbert Burns does have a career takedown accuracy of 35%. And Masvidal's takedown defense is 74% over the span of his UFC career, man. So this is like the number on paper. It does really look like this is going to be a lot closer than people are aiming it out to be. So let's talk about it. Minus 440 was the open for Gilbert Burns. They're not really respecting Masvidal, and I get it, a couple losses, right? But the reality is, on the feet, you have to admit, Burns is a little bit of a wild man. There was a lot of winging shots, not a lot of straight shots down the pipe. Let's not forget, he got dropped by a jab from Kamaru Usman. Masvidal lands one of his signature shots, bro. You could, you know what I mean? Put him in the same spot. Only difference is, will he be able to, this is the question, will he be able to jump in the guard to finish the job against a Gilbert Burns, who is a black belt jiu-jitsu practitioner, not only does regular jiu-jitsu, but like has fought ADCC style rule set for jiu-jitsu. Like this is a very MMA oriented jiu-jitsu here. Will Masvidal want to jump in that guard to finish the job?
I don't think so. I don't think Masvidal wants any part of the ground in this fight at all, man. And I mean, it's telling. He even said, if I can keep this fight on the ground, on the feet, I will find success. But I mean, you know, you don't want to jump into any guard, especially when you've had failures against wrestlers or against ground-oriented fighters in the past. I think he wants to stay as far away from that. Do you think so too?
I think so, because I think if he does get taken down, you're going to see a look on his face, an expression of, here we go again. Last 4 fucking fights, bro. Come on. Here we go again. We're doing this? Really? All right, man. None of these dudes want to fight. And maybe that's why the strikers, the OG strikers that are kind of trickling out, having more success doing boxing, kickboxing and stuff, but not quite mixed martial arts, brother. So talk to me about this odd, man. Plus 4-5 for the prop bet. Plus 450, excuse me. I don't, my words didn't work right there. For both fighters, plus 450 TKO prop. That's very surprising to me, and that doesn't really make sense. Why are we not jumping on this plus 450 TKO for Masvidal?
Yeah, for me, strictly, Derek, it has to do, wow, it's hard because on paper, you're right, but it has to do a little bit of that age and that hunger, I think it is. If we see fighters like Khamzat Chimaev, although then I think about it, man, Gilbert Burns got dropped with a jab by Kamaru Usman. So I don't know why that 450 is there for Gilbert Burns. I can see why you're asking why we're not jumping on that 450 for Masvidal. I think both of these guys could knock each other out, but I feel like it's way more likely for Masvidal to happen, unless we're talking about a ground and pound TKO finish for Burns. Then maybe, but I don't know. How do you see that?
I see it as ludicrous, and I think that if you're a Masvidal bettor, you jump on that plus 450 TKO, because I don't really see him winning any other way. The decision's going to be tough. The submission, come on, what are we talking about? I look at it like this. Masvidal is very good defensively in terms of being able to avoid getting submitted, being able to avoid the ultimate finish job, but you're going to get controlled and you're going to get stuck there, right? So I see a Gilbert Burns boring decision victory. I do see that in the cards, man. This dude wants it. He wants that title shot. That's how I see the path to victory. If you're Masvidal bettor, jump on the TKO. If you're Gilbert Burns bettor, I jump on the submission or the decision. I think the decision is a little more likely. I think it's going to be hard to finish Masvidal. And I'll let the cat out the bag, man. That's where I'm going here. Gilbert Burns, give me a decision win. I don't feel spectacular about it. I don't feel bet the house type money on Gilbert Burns right here, because I think Masvidal can surprise us, but I do like the decision. How you see it?
Yeah, definitely. If you're a Masvidal bettor, look out for that early TKO, early round 1, early round 2 TKO come from Masvidal, man. But personally, I'm with you, Derek. I think the more likely outcome right here is submission or decision from Gilbert Burns. And since you're going decision, man, I'm gonna cover our odds on those prop bets because we need a little help there. And I'm going submission, round 2, Gilbert Burns.
Sheesh, man. And let me actually take a look right here, because we are in the camp here, I believe, of doing very unruly things when it comes down to predictions for fighters. So Masvidal, let's see. In terms of the losses, Masvidal has never lost via submission in the UFC. That's not true. He did get submitted once with that inverted triangle. It's been many, many years. I think that was literally the last submission loss that he had, was that. Unless it ended in a TKO. Oh, no, that was Toby Amada. Oh, that was Bellator. Makes sense. UFC, never been submitted. Well, there you go. We'll see what happens right there, but we rolled with Gilbert Durinho Burns. Maybe not the next king of the, what is it, the 205, 305?
309?
Miami's, whatever. Apologies to the Miami people, you know what I mean? But shout out. All right, man. Now, this is a real interesting bout right here, bro. This is very, very interesting. And honestly, man, this has barn burner written all over it. You have a Rob Font who, if you think about it, Rob Font, had he just squeaked out 1 or 2 wins that he didn't get, this is a championship fighter right here. This dude's fighting for straps. But you come up short. Cheeto Vera arguably took Rob Font's spot in the rankings and the title shots and all that. And then you get an up-and-comer like Adrian Yanez, very highly touted jiu-jitsu black belt who has phenomenal boxing, long knockout streak in a row, a lot of heat on the last fight against, what was it, Tony Kelly or whatnot? Or maybe that was like 2 fights ago. Either way, this is the up-and-coming. This is like the next generation versus the Rob Font, who's been in the game for a minute, but almost feels overlooked. Almost feels like people don't respect him. And that's why this matchup scares me here, AJ. I'm going to let the cat out the bag. I'm picking Adrian Yanez here, but I have to let everybody know this could be a trap game. This could ultimately be, a lot of people are comparing it to Calvin Kattar versus Giga Chikadze, right? Giga came in, new big bad, scary kickboxer, and Calvin Kattar boxed him up for 5 rounds. And it was like, don't sleep on the OG veteran. AJ, let me ask you this question. The only time we've seen Adrian Yanez in real adversity in the UFC was actually to a surprising fighter. It was to a Randy Costa, right? And that was straight shots down the pipe that was piecing him up until he got tired and he couldn't do it anymore. Well, Rob Font has phenomenal jab, phenomenal straight, and doesn't really get tired. If he implements that game plan, do you think Adrian Yanez can even be effective in this matchup?
Not really, Derick, especially because a lot of Yanez's attack is forward, especially the later fights he's been having, the more recent fights we've seen. This dude is getting hungry and hungrier for finishes. And you're right, the Tony Kelly fight, he was scrappy, man. There's a lot that goes for Yanez, man, in this fight. And the youth, the speed, the boxing. But you're right, Derick, the straight shots down the pipe, the A to B that Rob Font presents, as well as the experience and the time he has had. I'm glad you mentioned the fact that it feels like Rob Font's being overlooked because he is, man. A lot of people have forgotten who Font is, maybe because he was in the top 5. He kind of fell into obscurity. Not many fights, not many, people clamoring to see his fights. But if you're right, this is a trap. This could be a trap game in the fact that if he puts on a show against Yanez, it will be one of those factors of, oh, damn, Rob Font again? Oh, yeah, this dude has fought the cream of the crop. He was a title challenger 2 years ago. So I think this is a really interesting match for both fighters right here. I am leaning a little bit more towards Yanez, but the getting around the straight shots is going to be his biggest factor right here. He does have really good footwork, though. What worries me is the head movement and the how would you say, willingness to bite down on the mouthpiece of Yanez, is the dog in him. There is a little bit of that. He does like a scrap. I think Rob Font's a little better in a technical match. What do you say?
I think Rob Font, if you look at the last couple of outings, man, he's really, really sharp to start off a round. But it's the end of the round that concerns me. Damage reigns supreme in today's UFC, right? So Rob Font can piece you up. He can land 1 trillion strikes on you. But if he's getting dropped at the end of every round, like he did in the Cheeto fight, what does that matter, right? Yanez, I think he's 4 for 5 in his last 5 in terms of finishes. The only decision came against Davey Grant, which shouldn't have been a split decision. That was a clear decision for Yanez. But the point remains, can Rob Font, that jab, right, that you're talking about, Rob Font is most effective with his jab when he moves forward. So my question is, you might be able to move forward, jab Yanez up for the first 2.5 minutes of the round, but can you do it for all 5 minutes of all 15 total minutes, of the fight? Can you do it? And that's where I have the question, man. I think Yanez, I see it like this. My prediction, Rob Font comes out and he wins round 1. And we're all saying, God damn, how did we not bet on this underdog right here? This is beautiful, plus 140, like dog, give me that. And then Yanez does what he does, man. And he just starts calculating. He figures it out. He starts pushing on the gas a little bit. And he takes over that forward momentum, digs to the body, up top, slick counters. I think he takes over the fight, man. That's how I see it. Do you see a flaw in my logic there?
No, that's probably the more sensible route. Because you're right. Rob Font does start off very fast, real crisp. Yanez has that gas tank, and he has that kind of warrior mentality where the longer he goes, the stronger he gets. So I can see where you're going for this one. What worries me for both fighters is that early knockout for both of these dudes, man. I mean, when either fighter actually is kind of pushing the pace, going forward, you open yourself up to angles and counterattacks. Both of the fighters are really good at reading those things. So that could be, where a fire meets fire and just gets exhausted, or we're in for a firefight right here. Both are very exciting to at least me, the viewer. What do you think, Derick? Are we going to see one or the other?
I think that we could definitely see a knockout here, but I also think we could see a barn burner 15-minute fight of the night type performance. Now, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but Rob Font, his last knockout victory came against a guy who I love dearly, but it's been very chinny, and I think he lost like his last 5 or 6 via knockout, and that's Marlon Moraes, the Magic Man, right? Prior to that, the last knockout that Rob Font got was back in 2018 against Thomas Almeida, which is an impressive victory, but that was 2018, man. This dude is decisioning everybody. He decisioned Sergio Pettis, right? Bellator champ. Ricky Simone, that's aged fantastic. Cody Garbrandt didn't really age as well. But the 2 guys that he lost to recently, and let's look at the 4 guys. Marlon Vera, Jose Aldo, Asuncao, and Pedro Munoz, right? So you look at those and you look at what do these fighters have in common. They all possess some pretty legitimate fucking power right there, right? I'm not saying the other guys don't, but those guys have that special intangible that when they touch you, something doesn't go right. I think Yanez has that. I think when Yanez touches you, it's just a little bit different. At 135, it's, what's happening? And we've seen Rob Font do the chicken dance multiple times in his last 2 fights. So I don't want to throw the word out there, but I'm going to just put it out there and just so we can kind of analyze and assess. Is Rob Font at this stage of his career, is he a little chinny?
I think so, Derek. I think so. And with a hungry young fighter who has been hunting the KOs, it's very, very dangerous. And actually both ways, man. I do think I'd be more worried as a coach, if I was coaching both of these fighters, I'd be more worried about the knockout for Rob Font. You're right, Derek. We've seen him get tagged. We've seen him get chinny. He even admitted that he needed the year off after his last fight just to get his head right, man, whether that's mentally or actually physically. You're tired again, clocked in practice, and then you see stars. So I think it's worrisome for me, at least. I don't know. We'll see, though. If he does another chicken dance, I think this will be the end of Rob Font, or at least we'll see, how he takes his career going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's not necessarily what you want because I'm a big fan of Rob Font. Crispy boxing, man. I'm interested to see how the other factors of the fight play out, man. Are we going to see a takedown? Do we see some jiu-jitsu on either guy's end, some wrestling? Rob Font can shoot, and Yanez is a black belt. So we could, but Yanez also, I think, has underrated takedown defense if Font tries to shoot. Either way, I like Adrian Yanez here, man. And believe it or not, that plus 150 TKO does not seem enticing enough for me. It does not feel juicy enough. I'm actually going to jump on that plus 235 decision prop, thinking that 15 minutes, not 25 minutes, 15 minutes. Some of these guys, look, Aldo and Vera, they couldn't take him out in 25. It'd be tough for Yanez to get him out there in 15. Give me the decision. How you see it?
I see the logic, Derek, and it's sound, very sound logic right there. I agree with you. I'm actually going to go. I'm going against it, though, man. I'm going Adrian Yanez, and I'm actually going to take the KO, and I'm going to take it early, round 2. I just think, man, the momentum and the pressure is all, or the momentum is all for Yanez, and all the pressure is on Font right here. Give me the young guy. Like I said, round 2, TKO, Adrian Yanez.
Yeah, this will be fun, man. Both of these dudes have over a 40% striking accuracy too, man. So when they throw, they land. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, man. Let's move on to a fight that is a little out of left field, right? But the Trailblazer, Kevin Holland, he makes his return on short form after breaking his hand against Wonderboy against the Argentine dagger, man, Santiago Ponzinibbio. And I had to mention that to start off because that actually does worry me about this, man. I like Kevin Holland here. I think he's too big. I think he's too long. And I think he's too powerful for Santiago Ponzinibbio, who is a legitimate welterweight. And Kevin Holland has been able to compete at 185, no problem. But that hand... Is this enough time? What was it, like 5 months or something like that? It's like a similar time frame, like 5 months to heal a broken hand. Like, are you confident in that moneymaker of Kevin Holland, which I believe it was his right hand?
That's what I was about to ask, Derek. Which hand was it? Do you know? Because no, 5 months, not at all, man. I imagine we're going to be seeing a lot of elbows, a lot of just funky stuff coming out of the camp. Not a lot of big right hand shots if it is the right hand. I wouldn't be confident at all. I mean, even if you got a couple plates in there, a couple bolts, screws, whatever the case is, you're still going to have a little bit of feeling out process. Luckily enough, I do think the range of Kevin Holland is going to come into play here against a Santiago Ponzinibbio who does like to blitz forward. But Kevin Holland is really good about stepping off on that corner and then hitting you with those counter shots. And he has a solid left hand. So whether it is his right or his left, I feel like he has strength in both. But we'll see, man. How many elbows do you think we're going to see, Derek? Are you confident in the hand surgery?
Well, I'm confident in Kevin Holland. Always throws a bunch of wacky kung fu, you know what I mean? Mix them up. Just like random shots that it's just like a spinning down or like a hammer fist vertical down. Just like weird wacky shots that hurt, and they hurt his opponent. But this is the one disclaimer you always have to have that we have found out, being Kevin Holland fans and betting on the man, is that you never really know what you're going to get. It's really tough because there's constantly these pre-fight backstage altercations, right? Like we had one with Masvidal already, and then it's like, damn, did they get into a fight? Is he going to get his opponent switched? Is he going to get pulled from the fight? What's happening? Is he focused on this fight? But you have to compare all of that with Santiago Ponzinibbio, man. His last couple of fights, win or loss, they're all hard fights. None of these are easy for him. We're talking about Alex Morono, which he won, right? Excuse me, let me hit the little cough button real fast. Or actually, it passed. I'm good. Sorry about that, folks. Almost pulled an AJ right there. No, I'm just joking with you. Just joking with you, man. Listen, that win against Alex Morono, that was a hard-fought victory. Morono was winning until he wasn't, right? A loss against Michel Paeta, another hard-fought victory. Loss against Jeff Neal, another hard-fought, you know what I mean? Loss, I guess I should say. Losses on those ones. And even his win against Miguel Baeza. That was hard, bro. Kevin Holland is not going to make this easy. 6'3". They say Ponzinibbio is 6 foot. That's a goddamn lie. You know that's not true. If we're looking at the reach, 81-inch reach for Holland, 73-inch reach for Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio has to close the distance. My question, does Ponzinibbio say, I'm jumping on the Marvin Vettori train, I'm jumping on the Blonde Brunson train, I'm wrestling this man, you know what I mean? Let's take him on his back. Let's see what happened. Is that in the equation?
I don't think so for the Argentinian dagger, man. This dude, if you've ever met an Argentinian person, you know how scrappy they are. And Santiago Ponzinibbio is of the same mold, man. It runs in their blood. I think this dude is going to be swinging for the head. Kevin Holland needs to be, ducking and moving the whole time because Santiago Ponzinibbio will be advancing forward. Now, going back to what you're saying, why I think this is a real hard fight for Ponzinibbio is the fact that all those losses he's had have been against rangy guys, man. Even the win against Baeza, he did do really well there. But I think Kevin Holland is a little more elusive than Baeza, a little more harder to grab than a couple of the fighters. That's where the problem comes into play. But for Ponzinibbio, on the other hand, man, the pressure that we've seen, the kind of stoutness that he presents, the power, I think it could make for an interesting intermingling in the clinch, when these guys are in the dirty boxing range. I think that's where Santiago Ponzinibbio can shine. We'll see, because you got to watch out for those funky elbows in that mix too, man. Kevin Holland is dangerous, but don't count Ponzinibbio out on this fight either.
Yeah, don't count him out. Watch for the knees, too. Watch for all of the long, rangy instruments that Kevin Holland has at his disposal. And I don't have too much else to say on this one other than I just think size matters. And in this one, size is not on the favor of Santiago Ponzinibbio. If they were the same size, I would have a different discussion about this fight. But give me Kevin Holland. And I think that of his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights, Stephen Thompson, Chimaev, Tim Means, Oliveira, Dawkins, this is probably his best shot at earning a TKO victory right here. Give me Kevin Holland. Give me a TKO. And I see this one, man, either late first round or early second round. How do you see it?
Yeah, TKO, man. That's it. It seems to be the way, especially sometimes Kevin Holland, like you said, Derek, it's hard being a Kevin Holland fan because you never know how he's going to show up. I feel like this is one of the times where he's going to get that TKO. Maybe not. He had the background the backstage, dust up with Masvidal, but either way, I'm going Kevin Holland. Give me the TKO. Give me a round 3 TKO, though. I think we're going to see a little calculation here, but either way, TKO, round 3, Kevin Holland.
All right, there you have it, folks. And to open us up, it still feels weird to talk about, man. 18-year-old Raul Rosas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. And you had to do a little bit of a deep dive, a little study on this one to kind of figure out what is going to happen here. Because arguably, man, you got a lot more talented fighters on the prelims, right? Established fighters, all that. But these guys are exciting, and these guys are going to bring it, right? And Rosas, he said it himself, man. He's a showman. He's going to go out there. He's going to put on a show. He's not quite looking past Christian Rodriguez, but he's saying, I'm vying for that belt. That's what I care about. Now, Christian Rodriguez, on the other hand, man, this dude's slick. I think people are discounting this man, bro. His jiu-jitsu is slick. His striking is slick. And when it comes down to that pure just like who wants it more, I think he wants it just as bad as Rosas does. I just don't think he's as eccentric about it, not as, entertaining about it, right? So what have we seen from Rosas? The backpack. We've seen backpack on I grapple you as problems, and this dude has a lot of grappling experience. Can Christian Rodriguez put Rosas in a position where he has to come off the stool in round number 2 and strike with the man?
Oof. I don't know, because I was giving the ground advantage to Rosas on this one, Derek. Don't get me wrong, though. Rodriguez does have a ground game. I mean, we saw, was it the Weems fight where he hit the Anaconda choke? Yeah. Very quick, too. Very smooth, fluid. So he's out there grinding and working it. But I did give the ground and the power advantage to Rosas here. Now in the striking, that's where it's different because Rosas started off as a striker, but then I forget if it was in the Contender series, if it was his first fight, he was talking about it. He went into a grappling match, got absolutely ragdolled by a wrestler and realized, oh shit, I need to work on this game too. Now, when that happens to you, you hold that one in your pocket. You keep that one for a day where you remember that, and then you work and you grind and you really go after it. So that's why I give that because of that negative connotation, that negative story, that's why I give the advantage of that grittiness to Rosas over there. We haven't really seen, or at least, and again, this could be the embellishment or the flamboyancy or the entertainment you're talking about from Rosas. We haven't really seen that on the Rodriguez side. So who knows if he actually has that dog in him. But if there's ever a chance to do it, this is the fight to do it. Because the only way I see Rodriguez really having that moment you're talking about, Derek, having that moment of having Rosas step off the stool and think, oh shit, now I'm in a fight, I got to go out there and get this, is if Rodriguez comes out and absolutely just steamrolls round one, puts him on his back, hits him with the left hand, drops him. Now Rosas is looking up, not exactly sure what's going on. He's having to defend a whole bunch of stuff. Gets to the round two. Now he's taking deep breaths. Do you see that story happening, or are we going to see a steamroll from the other side?
That's what's tough, man. It's almost like, the UFC is pushing Rosas, right? So you would think, oh, are they feeding him Christian Rodriguez? But no, I don't think they are, man. I think it's just like, hey, you're a prospect, he's a prospect. Whichever one of y'all wins, you advance. We've seen this before. It's not the first time the UFC has done this, man. So I do think there's the potential for that. And this is another one of those, I don't feel great about it, trap game type situations where you could be all over Rosas, but if he doesn't make it past that first, or if it goes past that first round, it could be real problems, man. Christian Rodriguez, listen, man. My boy is JSP, Jonathan S. Pierce, right there, baby. You know what I mean? And he put it on that man for 3 rounds of hardcore grappling. Rosas seems to have a gas tank. I'm going to tell this quick story again. I mentioned it before. I was actually familiar with Rosas. I wasn't familiar with his career necessarily, but he had fought at Combat Sports Coverage. It was a grappling promotion that we had went and go check out. He fought one of my teammates. And this dude, he is like, the limelight does not affect this man. He has a lot of fantastic movement. He's hard to grab a hold of, even against legitimate grapplers who do this thing full-time grappling as a living. This dude was made kind of for this moment, dude. So I do not see him failing to capitalize on this. And I think this is going to be another stepping stone right here. So with that being said, I think Rosas is going to go out there and prove a point. And I think he's going to go out there and he's going to submit Christian Rodriguez, a dude who got 4 submissions under his belt. I think he has 8 wins, half of them by submission. I think Rosas is going to go out there and submit him. What do you think?
I mean, the odds makers agree with you, Derek. I think that's the most likely one. Personally, I think Rosas is going to come out here, shake the world, first round knockout. But that's not a discount of Christian Rodriguez. That's a no foul play at all, man, or no ill intention or anything like that, man. I think this is just, you're right. The limelight does not affect Rosas. Sometimes the stars align and then you eat a big left hand. That's what I think is going to happen here. I mean, all the push, all the media, all the attention is one way. It's up for Christian Rodriguez to grab what isn't his and run with it. So we'll see if it happens. But like I said, Derek, I'll let the cat out of the bag already, man. Yeah. Give me Rosas, give me a round one, and I'm going for that plus 525. Not a lot of people know this dude is a striker or grew up a striker. But when you're from Mexico and on the streets, you got to use these hands. We'll see if it comes out to play.
Yeah, and I'll take that first round submission at plus 160, man. The thing about Rosas that I like, last parting word on this, is that he uses his striking to set up his grappling, right? And Rodriguez is very aware of that, and he's familiar with that. So I'm interested to see how he can combat that. But either way, folks, that is your main card for UFC 287. And with that being said, AJ, you know that the next segment that we have right here, this is an important one, and we're going to do our best job to give you the 30-second bar pitch on why you need to tune into these prelim fights, because there's a lot of fun fights that you could watch. But let's jump into some sleepers, baby. Let's get it.
It's time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're going to sleep on me and I'm going to wake you up.
As promised, folks, we're getting straight to the point. I'm going to kick it off with my sleeper here. And if you're not aware of these two fighters, shame on you. Now you are. GM3, Gerald Meerschaert versus Joe Pyfer. Pyfer, body bags Pyfer, however you want to call him, man. This dude is dangerous. And we saw in his last outing, man, Alan Amadovsky, they were like, this dude is going to be a problem. This match is going to be crazy. What does he do? Right cross, slumps him, get him out of there, right? The fight before that, Ozzy Diaz, ground strikes, get him out of there. This dude will pick you up, dump you on your head, and knock you out of the competition until you run into a guy like GM3. Listen, man. Submission underdog, always the underdog, always rises to the expectation. This is the grizzled vet versus the young gun. Somebody has to go, and I'll tell you what, if you count out GM3 right here, man, I'd like to take you up on that bet because I think GM3 can get it done. So watch this fight. Submission artist versus wrestler, knockout artist. It's going to be a fun one. AJ, what do you think about that?
I'm excited, man. GM3 versus Body Bags. And like Derek said, don't sleep on GM3. Don't sleep on Pfeiffer either, man. I do got GM3 in this fight personally, man. Well, I'm also excited, Derek. I'm giving a quick breakdown for mine because I got a crazy sleeper, man. Coming out of the great state of New Mexico, Steve Mean Machine Garcia is taking on a hell of a fighter in Shailan Nuerdanbeki, man. And why I picked this one, folks, 25 first-round finishes coming from the Shailan Nuerdanbeki camp. I mean, and if you're looking for war, you can see a lot of fans are voting for Shailan because this dude brings the war all the time. But you know who's ready for a war always and forever? The people from New Mexico, Steve Garcia, ready to bang it out with some of the greatest in there. And this is the time for Steve to really come in, man, and show that he is the real deal. We'll see, though, because he's up against an absolute tank. When you see Shailan Nuerdanbeki step into the cage, you'll realize what I'm talking about, folks. This one's going to be a banger from the jump. If you saw Steve Garcia's last fight, you know he's no slump, even though there might have been a little wishy-washy stuff in the back. All the James Krause, all that stuff came out. But either way, Steve Garcia showed up to fight and did what he needs to do. We'll see this one again. I'm expecting fireworks from the jump, folks. Tune in early. I believe this is the first or the second one on the card. What is it?
This is the second fight to open up the card. So that is a fantastic sleeper that you guys got to tune into. But of course, I come here on like PR press correction to come in and say that if you're on to talk about James Krause and the controversy, which I've been keeping very careful tabs of, you need to talk about Shailan Nuerdanbeki, not Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia don't got nothing to do with that. It was Nuerdanbeki versus Darrick Minner. And Darrick Minner is the party right there that's getting everybody in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Not Chase Hooper, not Steve Garcia. I just have to shed light because allegedly, just like Jorge Masvidal, allegedly, right? There's a lot of craziness going on out there in the world. Listen, we like to wager. We like to have some fun. We are not associated with the UFC, so we can do whatever the fuck we want. How about that? It's the Bloody Water Podcast, baby. Favorite fighter, favorite fight show. And with that being said, there's one last segment we need to run to. We're running a little short on time, so we're going to be brief about it. Friendly reminder, subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. Go check out my boy AJ on Twitch. AJ, where do they find you?
Twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. Go check me out. We're doing actually a lot more weekend streams. So that way you can tune in, man. Whenever you're sitting back, chilling with the homies, watching the fights, it's going to be a lot more going on. You can see I'm getting the setup going. But folks, tune in. Make sure you tap the notification button so you can actually get notified when we go live.
That's right. And AJ, man, I have to point this out real quick. Right before we move on, man. I'm going to solo you out. Right besides that Gumby, man, it looked like you got like a massive bong in the back, brother. What you got over there? You know you in Texas, right? No, I'm just joking over there. Yeah, over there. Something.
That one, Derek, bro. That's actually funny you say that, bro. Remember where we used to work? That's the Employee of the Year award, man.
Oh,
shit. I mean, it's collecting dust. I don't give two shits about it, but it looks nice in the camera.
It sure does. It sure does. That looks fantastic. Shout out to my boy AJ. Y'all didn't know, but this man is truly the, you know what I mean? Whatever of the year. Take it. Run with the bag, baby. Run with that award. Listen, folks, you want to talk about some award-winning fights right here. You're talking about some of these fantastic prelims here on your UFC 287 card, undercard, I guess you can call it. Let's get into it. So, AJ, man, Chris Curtis, Kelvin Gastelum, the return of Gastelum, the return of the forever perennial gatekeeper of the middleweight division, the man who gave Israel Adesanya arguably his toughest fight to date. He fights Chris Curtis, and a lot of people are saying if you are betting on Chris Curtis, you're in for a rude awakening. I love me some Chris Curtis, man, but I also love me some Kelvin Gastelum, a true OG of the division. Who do you see being advantageous in this matchup? Like who has the better, matchup, I guess you should say.
Oh, damn. It's hard, Derek, because it's going up against a dude who works hard, has never been normally the lucky guy, never been the first guy to be picked, in Chris Curtis, going up against an OG who's been there for a long time doing it, man. And a lot of people are scared to fight Kelvin Gastelum. I don't think Chris Curtis is, but if I've learned something in life, Derek, when you have to eat your words, you gotta bet with that guy. And we've done it before on this show. We've eaten our words on the Chris Curtis fight. He even called us out on it. So I gotta go with Chris Curtis on this one, man. He's a dog, and I do think it's his time to shine. And he's been grinding it out there with Pereira and Glover. So we'll see. What do you think?
I didn't know that was true. I don't know if that is true at all. Chris Curtis, I know he's from that Sean Strickland camp over there at what's up?
They were in it was in the embedded. Only reason I know about it.
Right on, man. Listen, my man knows some stuff, bro, right here. That's the insider right there. All right, man. Yeah, it'll be a fun one. I like Chris Curtis in this one. I do think Kelvin Gastelum will make it competitive. It's just a matter of who's willing to step more on the gas. I think that's who wins the fight, honestly. All right, the return of the karate hottie, Michelle Waterson Gomez versus Luana Pinheiro. Now, this is an interesting fight, bro. 10-1 Pinheiro is probably going to be filling that void right there of, listen, you love some Michelle Waterson. If you watch the UFC for years, she's a staple within this industry. But the OGs is getting fed and put out to pasture. And I think Pinheiro has a real opportunity to win this fight. What do you think?
I think so too, man. It worries me. And what's crazy is Waterson Gomez, if you follow her even on the embedded or on Instagram, she's looking sharp, man. She is cut. She is ready for fight night. But Pinheiro is a hell of a fighter right here too, man. I'm a little worried for my girl Waterson, but yeah, give me Pinheiro.
All right, man. Next one up. You have to feel. Listen, this is a dude who we actually enjoy here on this program. Chase the Vanilla Gorilla Sherman. You have to feel bad for him because I want you to look at this. Josh Parisian cancels. He has to fight Waldo Cortez Acosta. Loses. Chris Barnett cancels. Now he has to fight Carl Williams. Spoiler alert, the man's going to get taken down 20 times in this fight. Probably TKO finish. If you look at this fight, Alexander Romanov canceled. Then fights him again, loses, right? Gets Americana'd. Parker Porter canceled. It's just like a story of like, all right, my original opponent, boom, cancellation. Now I fight this guy, I lose. But I jump in on short notice, canceled fight. Now I'm back in UFC. Now they have to re-sign me. This has been like in and out of the UFC. The man is game. The man is ready to fight. I just wish that they would give this man 5 months to prepare for one opponent and actually he gets to fight that guy. But he's fighting Carl Williams. And AJ, I don't know if you know anything about Carl Williams, but this is a bad man right here. What do you think about this matchup?
Like you said, Derek, I feel bad for Chase Sherman on this one, man. Give this dude a little more respect and, like you said, a little more time to prepare for his fight. He is game, and I mean, when you're scratching the UFC's back, you're always going to have good luck on maybe not good luck on your side, but you'll at least have the brass on your side, which matters. Oh man, I like Williams in this fight though. You got to feel bad. Chase Sherman coming from bare knuckle to do it in the biggest stage possible and then get fired and rehired and fired and rehired. This dude has a storied career, but he's up against a hammer. We'll see.
That's right. All right, man. And then speed through these last two ones. Cynthia Calvillo, she makes her return back to the women's strawweight division, 115 pounds, and she's fighting Lupi Godinez, which, I mean, honestly, Lupi Godinez, she has all of the momentum right now, even though she is coming off of a loss to Angela Overkill Hill. But if you're Cynthia Calvillo, look at that. You lost to Nina Nunez, you lost to Andrea Lee, you lost to Jessica Andrade, and you lost to Caitlin Chikagian. This has been up and downs between 125 and 115, so she finally gets back on track. My question is, do you believe in the return enough to, pick her in this matchup?
I don't, Derek. I'm going with Father Time, or I guess Mother Time on this one, man, because I feel like Lupi Godinez is now the time to shine. Cynthia Calvillo, a little past. We'll see, though. She's still, you can never doubt the female age gap. I feel like that does have a little bit more length to it. Who are you going for?
Yeah, man, I like Lupi Godinez here. The thing about Cynthia Calvillo is you made a pretty good point, 35 years old. And it felt like it was just the other day when Dana White was crowning Cynthia Calvillo as going to be the next big thing in the division. And then things just turned out how they did. And now Lupi Godinez and Baby Sharks, Tabitha Ricci, like these are the new crowns of these divisions here. So give me Lupi. It just depends on how effective that wrestling can be. And can we mix up some striking? Because Calvillo can strike with him, man. You know what I mean? All right, man. This is really the last one that I want to talk about. I want to talk about Trey Ogden versus Ignacio Bahamondes, man. Bahamondes coming off of that fantastic TKO victory against Roosevelt Roberts a couple fights ago, right? Back in 2021, he fought Zhu Rong, which, I mean, bro, that was a nasty fight because those fighters coming out of China, they were coming vicious with it. Choked him out. Canceled fight against Ludovic Klein. Canceled fight against Nicholas Mota. And Trey Ogden steps in on short notice because Mota, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was an injury or something, but he did have to pull out. So short notice, Trey Ogden is a game opponent. Who do you like in this one?
Almost made this my sleeper, Derek. This one's going to be a lot of fun. Trey Ogden is down. Bahamondes is down for the scrap. I don't really have one way I'm leaning for this one, man. This is two up-and-comers going. I'm just going to grab my popcorn. If I had to pick one, I'd guess I'd go Bahamondes. What about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't count out Ogden here, especially after his last fight against Zellhuber, a very talented prospect. But yeah, this is just a tune in and have some fun. You know what I mean? And that rounds out our prelims, folks. So just like that, we back like we ain't never left. Bloody Water Podcast. Once again, programming note. Type in Bloody Water Podcast on Google, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, wherever you go to bloodywaterpodcast.com. It does not matter. It's the home, the hub for your favorite fighters, favorite fight show. AJ, take us out of here. What's the last words for the people?
Woo, Derick, you already said it best, folks. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the alert button. Let us tell you when we're going live. Pay attention, follow along, win some money. Make sure you go check me out, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. Like I said, we're doing a lot of variety stuff over there, but when you jump in the chat and you want to learn a little, you want to make a little money, make sure you holla at your boy. And as well, like Derick said, the home, the hub, bloodywaterpodcast.com. Hit us up on the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Check out the fights this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's it. I couldn't have said it better myself. Folks, that is it for us. Catch us back on Monday for the UFC 287 post show. And I don't want y'all to forget, we're not over here just throwing out picks just for picks. Let's not forget, we got some stuff that we fighting for over here, baby. You know what I'm saying? I know my man AJ, he's got all of that space there in the back. I can see a shiny belt going right behind his shoulder. But I'm going to do everything in my power to become the triple champ. I'm going to be triple D, not triple C, triple D. Let's get it over here, baby. We'll see what happens, man. I'm down on the cards right now, so I can't be talking shit. All right, y'all. That's it for us. Until next time. Peace.